had a dream last night that was an answer to something my sister was struggling with. And the imagery that I got in the dream is something that I've been wanting to speak on in many ways, and did for a little while on a blog that I had that I no longer have, because it was something that I felt so deeply about, and I was still trying to find the perfect way to take so many feelings about it and encapsulate it into just like a nice distilled experience perspective of what I believe is happening to so many men here on Gaia. Essentially, to make the dream not the main focal point, I was shown in the dream that there was a spirit that was feeding off of some people that they had connected to through connecting with pornography. It was spirits that live in the pornography realm that they had connected to. Now, in order for me to clearly say all that came into myself last night, because I could hear Yeshua and Mary Magdalene like talking to me as I woke up. I woke up in the middle of the night from the dream, and I was awake for like an hour just sitting with this. So I'm gonna close my eyes so that I can just focus on how it is that I was told it, so that I can say it in the way that it came to me, so that it'll be more clear what I'm trying to say. So that's why my eyes are closed now. So I have felt for a long time, and this is something that I received pieces and parts of it over time until all of it encapsulated into itself, and then I was finally able to have that puzzle piece moment. For me, the first time I understood that those who interact with pornography or engage in utilizing pornography were practicing a ritual was not until the last number of years. In 2019, I was working at a crystal shop, and there was a big black circular plate that we used to sell. And I was quite new to this spiritual realm, but there were so many wonderful wise women in there who, if you asked them a question, they were happy to tell you. And so I asked this one woman who works there, "What is this thing?" And she said, "Oh, that's a scrying plate." And I said, "For scrying? What is that?" She said, "Well, you know," the screen on your phone?" I said, "Yes." She said, "Did you know that that's made out of obsidian crystal?" I said, "What?" She said, "Yes, that is what this black plate is. It's obsidian crystal. People look into it, they gaze into it, and scry. And it's essentially peering into other portals, other realms, other dimensions through the use of the crystal. But those who work with scrying tools have a practice in place. They set a sacred space, a protective circle, they call to their angels, to their guides, and there's a specific reason for which they are scrying. And that could be to be speaking with passed on loved ones, to receive a past life memory for somebody. There is intention in this process. Now, I had already been a big fan of the show Black Mirror before this had even occurred. So when she said that the phone was obsidian, was a crystal, and was something that people are literally gazing into every day, I realized, oh my goodness, we're like literally partaking in different portals and different worlds. The phone is a Black Mirror. The show Black Mirror was already very much like on key for me as far as how I felt about this outer world, and that just acted as a confirmation to me. So some time passes, I sit with that information, I'm more aware about my phone being a black mirror, and I make sure I face it down. I don't have TVs facing my bed. I'm more mindful of mirrors. I cover mirrors in my room, etc., and so on. Over time, 2020 goes by. There was a partner I had at that time who did engage with pornography, and I did see the effects of it on his psyche and his well-being. Over time, we move into 2021, 2022, and 2023. Within 2021, 22, and 23, there was a lot that occurred within the relationship I have with my husband and his own personal relationship with his sexual energy and with the world of pornography. And I would say that it's a blessing that him as a Scorpio stellium was able to take all of his Scorpio energy and to reseal it and protect it from that realm because of how much power and energy it had over him and his energy body. I got to witness firsthand what can occur in a man's life through having that kind of engagement with the pornography world and what it can do to you, even though it feels so far away. So, for a deeper, more intimate knowledge of this, I also felt was important in now being able to share it in a way where it's not just my opinion on what a male is doing or what it's doing to him, but actually having my most intimate, loving partner have overcome that type of addiction, that type of need, that type of connection to the pornography world. Now, the main crux of what I want to share here, and what I think is the most important thing, is that the reason pornography is accessible and free on the internet is because it is not for the highest and greatest good of anybody, and it lowers your energy field, it lowers your vibration, it brings you down to like the 3D, 2D, and lower dense energies that live on those planes. When someone is picking up their phone and they are looking at the black mirror, the obsidian crystal, and they go into a pornography realm, they enter into that realm on their phone, there is no setting a sacred space. There is no praying to your angels. There's no praying for protection. There's no intention setting. You are literally just picking up your phone and going into a world unprotected, unshielded, no intentions, completely open, and allowing the most sacred center of your body, the sacral center, the sexual center, the sacred center of yourself, the most potent energy that you hold here on earth as a human, comes from the sacral center, the sacred center, other than the anahata, the heart. That energy of life force, the literal energy chakra in our body that creates life, creates other life here, taking that energy and plugging it in to this realm of degradation, where there are many spirits and entities that live in this realm, where there are many people who are being abused on this realm. There are many people who are engaging in things against their will, that are engaging in it while they're drugged, engaging in it with an entity inside of them, with a lot of dark magic occurring in these places and spaces. And I believe the intention of having it free and accessible and allowing so many people to have easy access to these realms is to keep all of the men here on Gaia from continuing to raise their vibration, from continuing to level up and to continue to ascend and become the divine masculines that they're here to become the Yeshuas, the Christ here on earth. The Mary Magdalens are rising, the left-hand path of the feminine Christ is rising, and it is time for us to continue to call up the men and to help them to see what this realm is doing to them. I'm going to kind of summate a lot of this with the fact that recently my partner and I ran into a woman who was telling us that she saw this energy, this entity that would always be behind her son, crouched on the ground, and she would just see it out of the corner of her eye. I didn't necessarily understand what that meant or what it could be, and if I don't know, I don't say anything. My partner later told me that immediately he had the feeling that it was a spirit or entity that attached to her teenage son from engaging and watching pornography. And when he said this, I felt it, and it made sense to me because I witnessed so many times throughout the 2 years that my partner was taking it month by month, working his way towards disengaging from the pattern and the routine that comes from engaging in that world, seeing at night the sleep disturbances that he had, and seeing his body twitch and seeing his body be moved against his will to try and engage in any kind of sexual practice while he was unconscious. And I had to basically be aware and awake at night so that I could wake him up, so that I could say a prayer, so that I could cast whatever it was that was attached to him out of the room. And it definitely did not like me there. So when he made that statement about that teenage boy having that entity there, I immediately then began thinking about every boy, every man that is on this earth who is engaging in that spiritual realm, and what kind of entity, what kind of spirit is looming over them, that's attached to them, that's making them feel depressed, that's making them feel lower, that's making them feel dense, that's making them turn to drink, that's making them turn to drug, that's making them turn to pouring out the most vital life force essence that a man has here on earth. The male seed, the semen, is not meant to be ejaculated. You're meant to retain it. And there are literally practices done by Taoists for centuries upon centuries of learning how to harness your chi, harness your life force energy and hold that energy within you so that you can move forward and actually make changes here on Gaia, so that you can be the men and be the leaders that we are called to be, that we are needed here to be for Gaia and for others. One of the most potent things that I ever felt about pornography and what it does to men was made so clear to me over the last 4 or 5 years through men that I got to know intimately who struggled with it. And it's not something that a lot of men seemed to be able to thrive from doing. The men that I witnessed who were in these worlds were stressed, they were exhausted, they felt lost, they were confused, they had brain fog, they were weak, they didn't want to work out, they didn't have any energy because they were leaking and giving it. And the most potent image I ever got when I would sit with my husband working through his addiction to this connection in the spiritual realm was the fact that as a light being with your sacred energy, going into such a dark world, it is so easy for those spirits to see you when you enter into that realm. Your light shines so bright that immediately they're going to fly to you, they're going to cling to you, and they will not let go, especially if you have not said, I do not give permission, I do not give consent, when you have no conscious idea that you're engaging in a ritual. When you pick up that phone and you go into that world and you give your sexual energy away to the things that exist within this obsidian mirror, this scrying tool, you are giving so much more than just your seed, just your energy. You're giving away your choices, your life, your health, your mentality. You're experiencing more shame, more frustration, because it's something that you feel is such a hidden part of yourself that no one else can witness, that no one else can see. And then a part of you is always not recognized. A part of you is never integrated into wholeness because it's hidden away in this darker realm that you do not need to be in, that you can do so much more outside of. And I know it's not always easy, and it's something that a lot of people will still continue to engage in. But if it's something where you feel chained to it, you feel that you are a slave to it, that you cannot say no, that you don't have the will within yourself to choose not to do it, but you feel that you have to, that's when you know that there's a contract there that needs to be broken, that there is some kind of link that needs to be severed, that prayer needs to occur, that calling to God needs to occur, to your angels, to give you the strength, to give you the verve, to give you the self-control, to ground to Gaia, and to remember your holiness, and to remember the walk that you're supposed to live here as a man, as a divine masculine. And it's not to be a slave or a chain to a sexual ritual that exists within a dark world. It's to be the leaders of New Earth here, to be leaders of the spiritual, to be leaders of light, to be leaders of love, to be leaders of living a life of peace that you choose, that you don't feel you are succumbing to. The world of pornography is very dark and very hidden, but it is being exposed and being brought to light in many ways. And I feel that more of us speaking, not in shame about it, but speaking in, I had this kind of experience, I had this kind of addiction, I had this kind of struggle, and this is what I'm doing to overcome it, could be such a powerful testimony to other women, other men, other beings, other humans in your life, to see that there are people who are willing to not be ashamed that, yes, that's something that I struggled with, but here I am on the other side of it, and this is what my life looks like now. Those are the people we need. We need people to be brave enough to speak about the experiences they had being in the sexual darkness realm and being brought back to sexual purity, because that can happen, that does exist, and I believe some have signed up for that kind of testimony here on Earth. If you are someone who is currently struggling with entering into that darker sexual realm and converging with other spirits and signing up for connections and contracts and doing a sexual practice or ritual that you have been unconscious to until this moment and are conscious of now, pray. Pray. Pray, 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 pray. Your angels are always just hovering around waiting to hear from you when you need assistance. The second you put your feminine hand and your masculine hand together at your heart center and you just have a conversation and call to your angels and ask for support and help and do that routinely, it will unfold, it will unflower, and there will be bonds broken. Pray to have those chains released. Pray to have those chains removed. Claim your sovereignty. Claim yourself and say, I do not consent to you siphoning my energy anymore. I do not consent to tapping into that world. I do not consent for you feeding off of my life force energy. You have the power to do that as a divine sovereign being, as children of God, as the light of life, as all that is and has ever was or will be. That is something that is available to you, and if no one else is talking about it, I'm talking about it, and I want that to be something that we all continue to support, all the women and men who are currently growing through something like that, because it's not easy, and it's the most sacred life force energy that you have. Imagine the way that your life could move and flow and become so much more different, having released yourself from that darker world, that darker realm that you do not need, that's keeping you from actually being able to connect to others in the way that you wish to. Thank you so much for listening to this and receiving this. Thank you, Yeshua. Thank you, Midiai. Thank you, angels. Thank you, Gaia, for assisting me in sharing what I needed to share as concisely as possible. Until next time, as always, I'm sending you peace. I'm sending you